someone who knows me knows that off by heart, because you just have to hear me saying it God knows how many times. Claire Pearsall, former Conservative Government Advisor, thank you so much, as always, for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Now, I know you've got a son in the cadets, so I do want to talk to you a little bit later about, you know, that marching in unison by the Chinese troops at that parade, which everyone seems to be getting very excited about. But, you know, the axis of evil on display for us across the world. But look, let's start with Graham Linehan. He's such a lovely soul, Graham Linehan, Father Ted creator, you know, and many other things. I mean, he's genuinely one of the sort of the nicest souls you'll ever meet. I was messaging him yesterday. The man's exhausted after a long flight and then being held in a cell for a long time, having to rush to hospital because his blood pressure peaked. But he was arrested by fined armed police officers over 3 posts. Let me just read out what those posts were, just so everyone's clear about this. In April, so again, this is really immediate stuff, he wrote, if a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, I think there was a picture of a toilet in this, he's committing a violent, abusive act, make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls. He also read another one in which he posted a picture of what appears to be a trans rights demonstration, and with the caption saying, a photo you can smell. I mean, it's not the most mature stuff, this, is it? And another post, he wrote with a comment, I hate them, misogynists and homophobes, F 'em. Now, they're not the most lovely and mature tweets, but are they likely to be criminal? Are they in any way, I don't know, inciting violence?
Well, I don't think so in any stretch of the imagination. And surely free speech is there. You should be able to voice your opinions. People have the right to be offended by it. People have the right to criticise you for it. But he ultimately has the right to do it. And I did snigger at the photograph one with the, you know, you can smell this photograph. But that's my sense of humour. Why are we sending 5 armed officers to go and arrest?
They said they didn't draw their weapons. They're routinely armed at Heathrow Airport.
So that's okay that you need 5 of them to bundle him into a van, to take him off. But
isn't it interesting? The case involving the Manchester Airport scene with 2 brothers, and so part of that is still sub judice. But the officers who turned up there, a male officer and 2 female officers, they turned up with just a taser.
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't they? Or were they armed as well? No, there was an issue. They used their taser. The taser was used, but they were actually armed.
But do we think it's proportionate to arrest him at an airport? If he was wanted for questioning by the police, then surely just go and knock on his door and say, please, can we have a word with you? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, exactly. Now, he's living in America at the moment, but I'm sure they could have got in touch. I don't know. They you know, he's got a court case tomorrow. I'm pretty sure, which involves, again, another battles with a trans activist.
He's quite well known.
He's quite well known. I'm sure they could have tried. They could have asked me. I'd have given them his number, and then they could have said, "Can we have a chat with you while you're here?" Like he wasn't going to turn up. But we're going to be talking to Toby Young, Lord Young, you know, is the founder of the Free Speech Union, a little bit later, and he says, you know, points out the Met Police Office have said he was arrested on suspicion of having committed an offence under Section 3A of the Public Order Act, which says a person who distributes or shows or plays a recording of visual images or sounds which are threatening is guilty of an offence if he intends thereby to stir up religious hatred or hatred on the grounds of sexual orientation. Well, this has nothing to do with religion. It's about trans, well, except that, of course, it is a bit of a religious, of course. But also, being trans has nothing to do with being your sexual orientation. That's why I don't understand why you talk about LGBT. There's LGB, and then the T is completely separate. There's actually been a consultation about whether or not they should extend this to include hate crime laws, including trans status, and they decided not to do that. So they've made it, you know, if that is what he's been arrested under. But either way, the only one here, and a photo you can smell, you can write that, saying you hate people. You're entitled to hate people. You're absolutely entitled to hate people who hate women and hate gay people, which is what I think the trans activists do believe, because you have to believe that to be in favour of a lot of the things the trans ideology pushes. You're allowed to say F them about people. Now, I'm not allowed to say it on air, but you're allowed to say it on social media. I think people have a right not to hear those words on air, frankly. The only thing they could possibly query about this is saying punch him in the, you know, in the nether regions. I won't keep repeating the phrase because you've got it. I just wanted you to have the exact words he'd said. Punch him in the, but he's talking about, he's saying a trans-identified male in a female-only space. He's talking about people who are men who identify as if they are trans women in a women's toilet or a women's changing room, pointing out that is a violent abusive act. It is. It's invading our space and putting us at risk and in fear. Make a scene, call the cops, make a scene, there you are, get out, call the police, and if all else fails, i.e. if you are, intimidated, punch them in the balls. But part of that is it's a joke about the fact that they're calling themselves women, but actually they are intact males who can be punched in there. Now, he's also said it was also a bit of a joke that women are smaller than, I don't think that is the joke. I think the joke is the fact that the irony is they actually do have male genitalia. I mean, but in no way, this is not an incitement to violence. And even if it was, how many times have we seen people posting online, wearing T-shirts, holding placards in public in front of police officers, kill TERFs, hang a TERF, punch a TERF? MPs, scholars have stood in front of people holding those placards. No prosecutions, no 5 armed police officers turning up to arrest them.
But it's not, where did we get to this point that you can write something which isn't inciting any hatred? If you don't like it, scroll past.
Or reply.
Or
block them.
Take it out, ignore it, move on with your day. It's going to take you, nanoseconds to just move on to something else. He isn't calling for death to certain people. I would do that to spiders. There you go. I hate them. I wish them all dead.
I don't think you're allowed to say that. That's spiderist.
Well, there you go. So I'm going to be in trouble for that one. And I'll be there with Graham. I just think
this is massive overreach, isn't it?
It is.
When the Prime Minister says the Met Police should focus on, the crimes that are our top priorities, and when he defends our right to free speech to people like Donald Trump, the reality is that's not what's happening. Met police chiefs and all who have been in charge of this, all the other senior people, they don't go around arresting prominent people like this without it going up to the top. They don't. It's a load of nonsense. They absolutely do. Yeah. And it's like Alison Pearson, the Telegraph. You don't go and turn up on the doorstep on Remembrance Day, Sunday, to the doorstep of a leading Telegraph journalist and arrest without someone up high knowing. Okay, and at that point, people are making a decision. The reality is, our police have been totally and utterly captured by trans ideologists and activists, by Stonewall and others. You don't get to be a senior police officer unless you believe in this stuff or pretend to. You can't get through the College of Policing unless you sign up to this stuff. Rank and file police officers tell me all this all the time. And this is across the board. It's in our courts, it's in our judges, our magistrates, it's in prisons, it's across the board, and it needs to be got out, and it needs to be got out brutally and quickly and thoroughly, because it is a danger to us. I mean, we haven't even got it out of our health service, where they've been basically, mutilating children for this ideology. This is a disgusting, horrible ideology, and I hate it. I hate the ideology. That's allowed. Yes. Am I allowed to say I hate trans activists? Oh, I don't know. Ooh. If I hated a specific trans activist, well, I don't. I feel sorry for people who believe this ideology, actually. But this is the thing. You're allowed to hate something or someone.
Yes. Perfectly entitled to do that.
That's part of your freedom of speech.
It absolutely is. But why is the Prime Minister or the Home Secretary, who's largely involved with policing at high levels, why aren't they saying, what are you doing?
Yeah. They either have their priorities or they don't.
Exactly.
Why are they saying their priorities if they have to be ignored? Stop arresting people for things they write. Unless if he had written, I want you to go and punch or kill this person.
Totally different.
100%. Yeah. 100%. That is incitement to violence, and you should be arrested for that.
Yeah, you really should. But we as a nation have got to stop reporting in everything that we don't like the look of.
But we don't do that. It's troublemakers who do that.
Troublemakers do. But why are the police paying attention to them?
Well, Nigel Farage today, he's going to be giving evidence to the House Judiciary Committee in Washington in Congress on free speech in the UK. He's going to be raising cases, of course, like Lucy Connolly. No doubt he'll raise the case of Graham Linehan and other cases. No doubt even one of his own reform supporters, Sarah White, she was charged with a Section 14 order offence over a protest at Epping. Now, this is a bit of a difficult one because, I mean, I've got a load of people having a go at me about the shorthand that you use in tweets. She was arrested after basically draping a Union Jack flag over the Epping District Council offices. Now, she was one of the organisers of this protest at the weekend, and there was an order basically about where the protest could take place for the policing. All in favour of all of that, and people should obey that. However, for some reason, the protest sort of overspread. You've seen there's some footage, and people are getting really quite angry, and people have got their flags, and the police are sort of trying to, I mean, they weren't being violent or anything threatening, but Sarah White has been charged. Sarah White has been pictured, going up. She's up the steps, and she's holding her flag over this balcony, public steps of a public building that was closed because it was a Sunday. She has been charged because she failed to comply with the order saying that protest should not take place there, but also she was one of the organisers, so there was extra responsibility on her. But fundamentally, she was manhandled to the ground. She says her arm felt like it was about to be broken. A number of police officers then marched away, kept in cells, and then charged. We have seen an awful lot worse by people doing many other protests, and we haven't seen that sort of treatment of a 5'3" woman. We spoke to one of her colleagues in the Reform Party, Julia Hartley-Brewer, about this. She has been charged. They will be going to, she will have to be bailed to appear in court. Some other people have been charged, but is that a reasonable response? For let's take out the specifics, but a reasonable response when people are upset about this issue? But she clearly, as a 5'3" woman with no weapon, clearly poses no risk to anybody, and is not sort of spouting hate. It's not like someone has gone to the home of a migrant or entered the hotel where migrants are that she's objecting to, gone to the public district council offices.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a slightly complicated one because there were restrictions in place as to where you could protest and what time it should finish. So that aside, why is it proportionate for the police to arrest a woman for doing this? Why did they not say, right, there is an order in place, you need to leave now, and just escort her away?
Exactly.
Why would you not just choose that as your route and say, you should know better, you are one of the organisers, you did understand the route, off you go home?
Absolutely. Well, look, we do want to talk to Sarah White, but also Graham Linehan messaged Graham Linehan yesterday, but he's busy preparing for his return for a court case tomorrow about that at another time. But we want to hear your thoughts on all this. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. Do we still have free speech in Britain? I really feel we do not. I mean, there are lots of restrictions on what we can say on air and things. I mean, if you look at in newspapers, this sort of requirement, but frankly, editors need to frankly grow some cojones, where they refer to trans people, even killers and rapists, by their preferred pronouns in court cases. Like, stop it, just stop it, grow some cojones, please. But also things like Ofcom designating things like and again they have the same views on that as well. So things like climate science is settled science. So and things like whether you have to have for or against and things like that. I mean, how dare they think that they have a say over what? There's no such thing as settled science. Even evolution, which I think pretty much all of us accept, is still a theory. It's not proven. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just ridiculous. Anyway, the solution to everything, as we know, and if Tony Blair was in the room, he would absolutely agree, is national digital ID cards. Labour, we're told, are looking at, of course they are, they're always looking at, and the last Tory government looked at it as well, having national digital ID cards to tackle, I don't get this, tackle illegal migrants coming to the country, but also working in the black market in this country. The argument being that we've got this pool here, not only can people come here and never leave, they're able to work here illegally because people don't have digital ID cards. How do they get that argument in their heads?
Well, I don't know. This is always going to come up. Please, somebody tell me how it is going to stop boats crossing the channel. It isn't. What is it going to do to illegal workers? Absolutely nothing, because if somebody is going to employ somebody illegally, they know exactly what they're doing. They're not going to change their mind.
They're off the books already, yes. Yeah. Do you have hello person who can barely speak English?
Yes.
Do you and whose address is a migrant hotel? Do you have a national insurance number to work here legally? Oh, no, you do not. Do you have documentation showing your visa that shows your right to work here? No. Do you have a passport showing you're British? Or like an EU citizen who has a right to be? No. I don't think you can work here. So unless you can produce something, well, apparently they're producing, paperwork and it's forged. No, they're not. No. They're not being asked for it because they're working on the cheap. And the reason why the employers employ them is they don't have to pay national insurance and tax on them, and they can pay them under the legal minimum wage, and they can't complain, because if they complain, they will get in trouble with the police. I mean, they won't be deported, of course they won't. The idea that these people employing them in the black market are going, oh, but let me check your digital ID. So the whole of Britain, every law-abiding person in this country is going to have to carry a national digital ID because of some employers who, let's face it, if the police really were not spending time arresting comedy writers at Heathrow, could actually go and tackle, go to the nail bars, go to the barber shops, go to the car washes, go to the car washes, go to some of the factories. I'm sorry, I doubt that it's got to be on the wit of man for you to go and find where these people are being employed and go and get those people. And the crucial thing is, punish the people who do this and punish them severely. And I don't mean just a little fine. I mean huge fines. I mean time in prison. Let's make it serious. Landlord, you renting out a home to an illegal migrant without permission? I mean, basically they've all been doing it on the government money now, on our money. But, you are going to face but like £100,000 fine. A genuinely, I really don't want to do this because if I get caught, it's going to be trouble. If you just enforce the law we already had, you wouldn't need to impose this massive cost and massive infringement of our civil liberties. I don't want to show anybody my ID. It's no one's business who I am or where I am, unless a police officer, unless I'm choosing to purchase or ask for a service where my ID is relevant, I need to show my identity, or unless a police officer had good reason to suspect that I have committed a crime. It's no one's business who I am.
No, precisely. And I carry enough pieces of ID with me that should I need to do so, I can do it. But what am I going to do? Walk down the street and then somebody to say, oh, well, we need to see your ID, love. No.
Well, exactly.
Why?
But again, people say, what's the problem? You've done nothing wrong, what's the issue? Well, we saw what happened during COVID, didn't we?
Exactly.
When people were going to be stopped. What do you think they're going to be loading on? What other information? Do you think it's just going to be your name and address, your national insurance number? It's going to be everything about you. It's going to be your vaccination record. It's going to be your passport record. It's going to be your tax. It's going to be everything. And this is what they have in... I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this is the direction of travel, being able to control what people can do, what they can buy.
But also, would you trust the government to hold centrally your data?
I mean, not if I was an Afghan interpreter, no. I mean,
we have seen over the years, we've seen people leaving. Do you remember the CD-ROM drives of child tax credit? Yeah, leave it on a train, leave it at a bus stop. I don't trust the government to have all that information on me. They already have my photograph on my passport and my driving licence. Why do they need anything further?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just extraordinary. And again, this is just another, and that is another attack on our freedom of speech. That's the thing. It is all part of the same story. Do we still have freedom of speech in this country? Give us a call, 0344 499 1000. And our digital ID cards, the answer to everything. This is Talk. We are the home of common sense.